Mine too.
My hairdresser decided to go have a baby and then they closed the shop.
Well, I'm growing mine so I could put it in a ponytail for pickleball.
Mine's not long enough yet.
Okay, we are live.
All right.
Okay, Andy, so at your discretion, we're good to go.
Okay, do we have a quorum yet? I guess we
Yes.
do. don't we? Okay. All right,
Good morning, Jim.
Morning.
it's exactly 9 a.m. We'll call the May 3rd LAFCO meeting to order. Jim, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Is Jim still there?
Yeah, I'd be honored to. If you all please rise and face a flag.
Okay.
All right, ready, begin. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance
to the flag
Flag of the
of
United
the
United States of America,
America,
and to the
and
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
Which
and
stands
one
one
nation
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
the God,
indivisible,
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 with liberty
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thanks, dude. That was fast work on the flag. Appreciate
That
that.
was fast work.
Okay, agenda review, Keen.
Well, actually, Chair, let's go ahead and check in with Tammy and we could do the official roll call for our
Okay.
viewing public at home.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Commissioner Desmond,
here.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Here,
Commissioner Vargas is absent. Commissioner Kate is absent. Commissioner Salas,
Here,
Commissioner Vanderlyn,
Present.
Commissioner Wells,
here,
Commissioner Willis,
Here,
alternate Commissioner Anderson is absent.
he's here.
Oh,
He's here.
present.
Here.
Morning, Joel.
Good morning,
Alternate
Gary.
Commissioner Von Wilpart is absent. Alternate Commissioner McNamara,
Here.
alternate Commissioner Mathis,
Harry, you're muted.
he's here.
so we have 1, 2.
I'm present.
Here he is.
Thanks, Harry.
Good morning, Harry.
We have alternate Commissioner Anderson will vote in place of Commissioner Vargas, who is absent. There's a quorum with 7 present.
Thank you, Tammy. And so as Tammy just mentioned,
I'm
Commissioner,
here, I'm sorry.
oh, there we go. So we have Commissioner Vargas in attendance and we'll be voting. Commissioner Anderson will be attending as an alternate. And then just for the record, I am aware that City of San Diego member Chris Kate will be joining us, but will be running late. So we are good to go on roll call, Chair.
Okay. Item 3 then, agenda review, Keen.
Yes, thank you. So we do have one change for the commission today, and that is we need to pull for another day agenda item 5D as in David. That's the Chinese Bible Church change of organization. A couple of things came up at the end of last week. And we communicated that with the applicant. And so we're going to take a little time to go through those items. And the goal would be to come back at our next meeting in June. So everything else on the agenda as presented is good to go. Again, with the one change to take off completely 5D as in David. I do want to note, Chair, just for the record, as I've been doing in this virtual format, we are set up to be able to take public comment either through the pre-registration of speakers or to take in live email comments as they come in. And for those who are watching at home, instructions on how to participate in today's meeting is provided both on our agenda face sheet as well as at the LAFCO homepage. So with that one change noted, Chair, we are good to go.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of that, Tammy or Erica, do we have anyone for public comment this morning?
None, Chair.
None, okay. Just keep us advised if any call in along the way here. Okay, we'll go to item 5 then. The consent items, we've already heard that we're pulling item D. Are there any other changes on the consent item?
I do have questions
Okay, what are they, Barry?
on, so I do not see any negative feedback in it on any of these, but one question I had, Keen, is protest proceedings. You may have covered this before, but I just like it if you explain it. Under Government Code 56662, protest proceedings are waived. Could you explain that, please?
Yes, so in LAFCO law, the premise is anytime the commission takes action on a boundary change, we have to allow affected landowners and registered voters to be able to come in within a certain amount of time and file objections. Unless, and that's where this code section comes into play, 56662, unless we can validate and verify that all of the affected landowners and or registered voters have provided their written consent if the area is within a particular size, right? So in all of the consent items that you have listed before you that are active, so 5E, which is the Estrada annexation, 5F, which is the Hulsman annexation, we can attest that we have all of the landowners and or registered voters consent to these proceedings. So there is no protest. If you
Okay.
agree.
Thank you for covering that, Keen. I appreciate it.
Okay, any other comments on the consent items then? Roll call vote.
I think we need to make a motion, don't we?
Oh, yeah, I'm
I'll
sorry.
move to approve the consent calendar.
And I'll second.
And
And I'll
delete with the deletion of item D, the Chinese Bible Church reorganization.
And Commissioner Willis, I'll second.
Okay, thank you, guys. Okay, now roll call vote, Tammy.
Commissioner Vanderlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Desmond,
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie,
Aye.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Salas,
Aye.
Commissioner Wells,
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas.
Vargas, yes.
We have 7 in favor, 0 opposed, with 1 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the public hearings now. Item 6. I have 6A. Keen?
Thank you. So item 6A, I'm going to hand this over to analyst Priscilla Allen for the staff presentation. Priscilla.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Good morning. So as Keen mentioned, I'm going to be going over the proposed Meadowood reorganization. So I'll wait for Keen to put up the presentation for us. Thank you, Do. Yeah, so this proposal encompasses is an application by Rainbow Municipal Water District to annex the affected territory with a concurrent detachment from Valley Center Municipal Water District. So as we begin, I'll give a quick overview of the affected territory beginning on the next slide. So on the map, you see kind of the location. So this is 267 acres. It comprises 12 legal parcels that are located within the unincorporated community of Valley Center at its northern perimeter near the transition into Rainbow. The site is of an approved but yet to be constructed 844 residential development, once known as Meadowood, but now known as Citro, the landowner being Tri Point Homes. So as we move into the next slide, I'll cover, the purpose of this reorganization. So 3 main items here. So 1, this is a friendly boundary swap between Rainbow Municipal Water District and Valley Center Municipal Water District, involving those 270 acres. So again, seeking LAFCO approval to annex the affected territory while detaching from Valley Center Municipal Water District. Two, we're here to address this outside service agreement. So to give a little background on this, the development was approved by the county several years back to include the 844 residential units. And this was done as part of their general plan amendment. With county approval, they assumed that Valley Center would be the primary provider of water and wastewater services to the affected territory, despite Rainbow saying no to this. And so after county approval, LAFCO subsequently approved annexation of the site to Valley Center, and this was in April of 2014. However, as the project came into closer focus, such as engineering costs being further illuminated, the game plan changed, and that led to an outside service agreement for Rainbow Municipal Water District to be the provider of water and wastewater to the development. This was done in consultation with LAFCO staff, and so they agreed to the outside service agreement. However, it was strongly encouraged that the two agencies work out a more holistic solution, which is what we have here for you all today for approval, to formally amend the two agency boundaries and eliminate that jurisdictional overlap. So after all the factors required to be considered, check out both in statute and in local policy, and further detailed in the agenda report, staff is recommending that the commission proceed with conditional approval without any discretionary modifications, and also recommending a conforming sphere amendment for both agencies, along with making any required findings. So with that, commission, I'm going to end the presentation. Thanks so much for your attention. I know we do have Jimmy Ayala, president of Tri-Point Homes, on the call today, as well as Tom Kennedy, general manager for Rainbow Municipal Water District, available to answer any questions. But for now, I'm going to turn it back to Keen, and I'll be ready to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, Priscilla. So as Priscilla mentioned, Chair Vanderlyn, we have two registered speakers available to answer any questions if the commission has them. And just to circle back to Commissioner Willis's initial comment, this too, if you approve it, would be, or we would waive protest proceedings, because in this case, Mr. Ayala is the only landowner, and he has signed off on it. So we are good to go on that. So with that, Chair, we'll hand it back to you.
Okay, any questions for staff before we open the public hearing?
I have just
Phil, go ahead.
one. Has there been any objection from the public? Any letters, protests?
We are not aware of any, certainly at the LAFCO process. Mr. Kennedy is shaking his head, so as the potential service provider, it doesn't sound like he's gotten any objections either.
We have not. There, 15 years ago, there was more controversy about this and the other developments in the area, but that ship has sailed, and there's no opposition.
Oh, great. Yeah, so just to reiterate, everybody's happy with this deal.
Yeah, Valley Center, their board did a resolution of approval of this, so everybody's on the same page.
Great, thank you.
Tom, are you gonna be speaking on this, or are you just answering questions?
Just here to answer questions. The staff report speaks for itself.
Could I just ask you if you could summarize very quick, why did it make more sense to go to Rainbow rather than stay there?
Well, there's a long history, but on this project, but we have facilities that are immediately nearby, but for Valley Center to serve water, they'd have to bring a pipeline all the way across the San Luis River, and for wastewater, they'd have to pump wastewater about 500 feet vertically and about 5 or 6 miles to the south to their plant, where we have facilities right across the street. So,
gotcha.
Is there any other comments? We'll open the public hearing.
I have a quick question.
Oh, sorry, Joe.
This map is kind of hard to read. This is taking access directly off of 76.
is that for me?
Anyone?
Horse Ranch Creek Road, 76. It's right near the new Horse Ranch Creek development. And so there's, as you go on the 1576, there's the new homes in the Palomar College campus.
Does
It's
this
right there.
does this circumvent Rosemary Mountain? Is this at the foot of Rosemary Mountain? That little hill that?
Yeah, it's right nearby there, but it goes around it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, no other questions, and public hearing is now open. Do we have public comment? No?
I wanted to make a motion that we do
Yeah, we'll
adopt.
come back to you in just a minute, Harry.
Okay,
No public comment? Close the public hearing. Harry, go ahead.
I do want to make a motion that we adopt the LAFCO staff recommendation, that we adopt it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second,
Second from Joe. Okay, Tammy, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Vargas,
Vargas, yes.
Commissioner Wells,
Sorry.
Wells,
Yes.
Commissioner Salas,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner McKenzie,
yes.
Commissioner Kate is absent, Commissioner Desmond,
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderlin.
Yes.
We have 7 in favor, 0 opposed, with 1 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you. Just editorial comments. Nice to see 2 districts getting along so well, Tom. Thank you for that. Okay. Item B, adopt the final work plan for the budget for 2021-22. Keen?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So I will handle this item. As the Chair mentioned, this is for the Commission to take a final step in game planning for the upcoming fiscal year. And that involves considering this draft resolution that you have before you, which would do 2 things, right? It would finalize a work plan to direct your resources over that 12-month period. And then separately, it would approve a final budget to fund those activities. And as the Commission will recall, back in March, we brought you both of these items in draft form for your consideration. And at that time, you approved both, at least in draft form, and you told us to go out and solicit public comment. Now, in taking these items up in March, the Commission did make some adjustments before greenlighting them to proceed with the public review. You will recall that in taking in the work plan, the Commission saw fit to raise the priority of establishing environmental justice policies all the way into our top 10, right? The top 10 of the 30 projects in the work plan represent those that are of the highest priority for us to complete during the year. And then also, you will recall when you took in the budget back in March, you adjusted the revenue side of the ledger to set our appropriations, right? Our appropriations, which is about 90% of our budget, you set those to be identical to what we build in this current fiscal year, right? So an agency would pay no more, no less next year as to what they paid this year. So with those changes in mind, we went about our 45-day public review and comment period. Staff also presented these items to the city's advisory committee, which is essentially the 18 city managers, as well as the 16-member special districts advisory committee, which is both elected general managers and board members. And with some questions and context offered up, generally the items proceeded without any pause or angst. That means we come back to you today with the final work plan as proposed that is identical to what you signed off in March. Again, identical. With respect to the budget, it is nearly identical to what you signed off in March. And that certainly includes the headliner, which is that our overall operating cost in our matching revenue amount would go up by 1.3%. And so we would go from $1,916,000 this year to $1,942,000 next year. We did make some changes to the budget. However, unless you're Sherlock Holmes, you're not going to necessarily notice them because they're so embedded and internal. They're just smoothing adjustments to some particular line items. They do not affect the unit totals at all. So given we went through these items in some detail, and you can go ahead and take that off. Thank you, sir. Given that we went through both of these items in some detail in March, I will leave my presentation there. I do want to, though, offer up two qualifications, Commission, as you take in these items. So with respect to the work plan, given we have some staffing adjustments in play as we speak, it probably is reasonable to assume that at some point in this upcoming fiscal year, I will come to you with some amendments, not necessarily involving our top 10, right? But perhaps, items, 10 through 30, either to punt to another day or at least to continue in some fashion. Again, as we work out some of our staffing issues and fill in some positions. On the budget side, while I don't expect the number to go up at all, it would also be reasonable, Commission, that I will come back to you maybe as early as your August meeting with some amendments, because we do have a couple of items in play right now. In particular, and as you will discuss later on, we have a potential office move. And again, I don't anticipate it affecting the bottom line, but it will likely affect some of the internal lines that will require some movement by the Commission. So with those qualifications noted, this at this moment in time is our best foot forward on both a work plan and a budget. It's a public hearing, and I will turn it back to the chair. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Keen. Are there any questions for Keen before we open the public hearings? Barry?
Yes, I do. Keen, I know that obviously Robert took advantage of the voluntary retirement. Are there any other employees that are strongly considering it that you're aware of?
Yes, we have one other employee who has taken the Commission up on a volunteer separation plan. And they will be leaving, though not right away. They will wait until December. And so that certainly speaks to some fluctuation in staffing that goes to my comment about the work plan is our best step forward right now, but it will need some fine tuning going forward.
Will there be some savings involved, I guess is what I'm trying to.
Yes,
okay.
There will be some savings.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, any other questions for Keen? Just a
I
comment.
think we pretty well vetted it last month. So
Yeah,
I'm satisfied with it. Do you want a motion?
no, I'm going to go open the public hearing first.
Okay.
Just a question. At one time you considered reducing the budget, is that correct?
Yes, we considered, well, in March, you will recall, there was our initial comment to the Commission was to utilize additional reserves to help offset the financial impact to our finances. The Commission responded to that and said, well, let's just keep them the same. And so that's what's reflected in the item before you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions then? Okay, we'll open the public hearing. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Hearing or seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. A motion would be in order.
I'll make the motion to approve or adopt the final work plan and budget for 2021, 2022.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. The second was, I'm sorry, where did it come?
Commissioner Vargas.
Mr. Vargas, thank you.
And then, Chair, before we go forward with the roll call, can we just double check in with Tammy and then Erica to see if we had any comments on this?
Okay, yes, thank you, King. Do we have any, Tammy or Erica?
No registered speakers, sir.
Did you have anything, Erica?
No live email comments.
Okay, thank you for that adjustment, King. Close the public hearing then and roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Desmond,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kate. I don't believe he's absent. Commissioner McKenzie,
Aye.
Commissioner Salas,
Yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Aye.
Commissioner Vargas,
Vargas, yes.
Commissioner Wells,
Yes.
There's 7 in favor, 0 opposed, with 1 absent. The motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the public hearing items. We're going to now go to the business calendar. 7A, outside audit report on fiscal year 2019, 2020. Keen?
It'd be physical too.
Yeah, it could be physical.
It
but-
can be physical on this audit process.
But it was physical this time.
Commission, before you, for your formal receive and filing per policy is an audit on the most recently completed fiscal year of 2019, 2020. An outside audit that admittedly is a few months late in getting to you, but nonetheless confirms all is relatively well in the world of LAFCO, at least with respect to our financial controls and reporting. Most notably, the outside auditor confirmed what we had been saying during the fiscal year, that 1920 was a pretty good year for LAFCO. In particular, our overall fund balance, which is entirely unrestricted, right? There are no legal constraints on our fund balance, improved by about 10%. And we went from a little more than $1.4 million to a little more than $1.6 million. And of that fund balance, right, that unrestricted fund balance, which now, at least at the end of 1920, totaled 1.6 million, of the unassigned amount, right, the portion of the fund balance that this commission has not committed or assigned to any particular purposes, that amount also increased from about 800 to about a little under $1 million, which is certainly more, commission, than our reserve policy, which is at any one time to have at least a 33% or a third of our operating budget readily available in reserves. In fact, we're basically at 50%. So overall, we are certainly fiscally healthy. And then going a little further, the audit report that you have before you in the accompanying management letter confirms that there were no material weaknesses or omissions identified in their testing transactions of LAFCO. And again, that all is well. With respect to recommendations, no new suggestions, recommendations were offered in this audit report. I will note that of the recommendations that were brought up and raised to the commission at the end of the 18-19 audit, one of them does remain outstanding, okay? And this involves a recommendation that LAFCO create and establish our own standalone accounting manuals procedure. And certainly something that staff agrees with, something that we want to proceed with. It just so happens, commission, that for us to go forward with that kind of project, it does require coordination with the county auditor's office, given we are still embedded very much so in their processes. And COVID-19 certainly had an impact on the county auditor's office in the powers to be reassigning. In fact, most of the people that work with us to other tasks. So it just so happened that this one recommendation continues to be on the tarmac. When life gets back to normal, we'll certainly see about getting back to it. So this is for you to formally receive and file. And last but not least, special thanks and appreciation on this clean audit goes to Ruth and Erica with staff. They do all the daily transactions and in particular, navigate a very complicated payroll and Oracle system through the county. And so credit to them to getting this clean audit. So with that, Chair, this is for formal receive and file of the commission, but be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
So no red flags anywhere.
No. If there were, we would have put this on consent, Commissioner Willis.
All right, call there, Keen. Good job, Keen and the staff. That's a great vote of approval there. Do we need a roll call vote on this or just an acceptance?
It's just information.
Well, actually, no, per policy, we do need you to formally attest that you have received and filed this. So a motion and then a roll call would be in order.
Okay, so
I'll make a motion on that.
Motion by Barry. Is there a second?
I guess.
Second by Joe.
Joe,
Thank you, Joe. Roll call vote, please,
I
Tammy.
didn't want you just sitting there for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Commissioner Salas,
Yes,
Commissioner Wells,
Yes.
Commissioner Vargas,
Vargas, yes.
Commissioner Willis,
Yes, aye.
Commissioner Desmond,
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderlin,
Yes,
Commissioner Tate. But he's still absent.
Yes, I'm here now. Yes,
Oh, you're present? Okay. Commissioner McKenzie?
Yes.
So we have 8 in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 absent. The motion passes.
okay, thank you, Tammy. Item B, local agency directory information.
Thank you, Chair. So this will be a relatively quick and fun item, but it is worth highlighting. So Tammy and Priscilla from staff put together our first local agency directory, and I'm going to ask Priscilla just to go over some of the highlights, because there was a good amount of time spent on this, and I think there's going to be value to it for our local agencies, and if not, our commission, certainly. So Priscilla.
Yes, thank you, Keen. So we'll go ahead and put up the directory for all of you to see in just a moment here. But as Keen said, it was a collaborative effort, and we're really excited to show you. So as you open up the local agency directory, we really wanted for it to have some beautiful photos kind of highlighting San Diego County. And so that's what you kind of see here. And we wanted to include some blurbs in there. This is our table of contents. So if you just go up for me real quick, so when you're on the table of contents, you see we included a little bit of LAFCO history, some duties and responsibilities, and then we added in a little bit of our photos of everyone. So from the commission, cities advisory committee, special districts advisory committee, we couldn't leave ourselves out as the headliner, right? So San Diego LAFCO team on there. And then we have the local agency directory, so the incorporated cities and special districts. So as you keep kind of flipping through the pages, as you see, you'll see, again, that LAFCO history that you find on our website, pictures of all of you on there highlighting your title and then what you're representing, the district or city. And then as you keep scrolling, that's for the cities advisory committee, the same. And you can keep going down for me. And then you get to the LAFCO staff, and I asked Keen if he could just really blow up my photo, but he said no, he wanted his photo blown up. And then we had to come to a consensus that just wasn't nice. So we just left them just small there. But then we can keep going. And then we added a nice little definition for those who are from the public kind of going through it, the incorporated cities, and then we did the same for the special districts. And then just as an example, so for Carlsbad, as you see, we added the address, contact information, just some fun facts, incorporation date, estimated population, and then council members meeting information. And that stays the same for special districts as well. We did add a type, so that way when you're looking at it, you know if it's an independent or dependent special district. But this is our directory that we've kind of put together. We're really proud of it. We'll take some feedback. Feelings might be hurt, but we'll take it. But if you have any questions, please let us know. And if you have any feedback, thank you.
Priscilla, this is a great job. Are you aware of any other document like this with the other local agents, local LAFCOs?
I've never done a directory like this, no. And I can't take all credit. Tammy did a lot of work on this, and then Chris, who kind of did the graphics and all, but I did ask for the photo, so I'll take a little credit there.
Well, I just want to say, I don't have any questions. All I can say is, wow. I mean, just what a great job. This makes my job as a special district representative so much easier. So thank you.
Oh, well, we're glad. Thank you so much.
So Chair, I wanted to add my comments too. I really appreciate this. I think it's going to be a really good tool for us to have all this information close at hand. I know I often have occasion to try to find, fellow city managers and such. And so this is really great. I think it's terrific. You guys did a great job, and the layout is very nice as well. Congratulations.
Any other comments?
Well, I really like visuals, so I really appreciate all the pictures. I don't, this is a huge county, and sometimes it's hard. And so it's always good to know who everybody is. So thank you for the great job, including, explaining who the executive
I'm
manager
visual too.
is and everything else. So great work. Thank you. And now if we could just make it cool, so everybody knows on social media what LAFCO is, and try to, make it so that we can get more people engaged in this process, because it's such a powerful, agency. We just need to make sure people understand what the power of it is. So thank you.
Indeed.
Any other comments?
I want to tell her that she did a great job too, but your job is to make us look good. So there's something called Photoshop.
Keen and I were so concerned with how we looked that we,
That's how it always is. When you say, does this picture look good? You only look at yourself, say, oh, it looks fine. But everybody else is.
It looks so good. What are you talking about? Your hair's flying over here, but.
You did a great job.
Well, Bill, in your case, Photoshop was not necessary.
Oh,
they could have added some hair for me, but oh well. So I think you're right. It's going to be one of those documents that just doesn't lay around. When you get a roster, it's just plain with names on it. Doesn't help. You also had a history to it as well. So it's a living document, and I think it'll bode well. And certainly having the picture there, so when you have a name, you also have a picture, makes a big difference, at least for me. Anything else then? Okay.
No, this is just for information, and we will get a bounded version once we perfect it and send it to the commission for their safekeeping. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, great job, Keen, and your staff. Okay, item C,
Indeed.
report on office ad hoc committee and related action items.
So actually, Chair, if we can come back to this after closed session, if that's good with you, and Holly, is that appropriate? Okay.
Okay, so we'll do that. That way Chris will be involved. He's the third member of the committee. So with that, unless there's anything else, we'll adjourn.
Commissioners' reports,
We had a hand waving down there.
commissioner announcements, reports.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Excuse me, Barry. Executive report.
Yeah, so on our end, I did want to just give thanks to Tammy. Tammy, as I mentioned earlier, is conducting the special districts election for our vacant seat. You will recall that Aaron Lump from Rincon del Diablo Municipal Water District left the community. And so in filling that position, it's not as simple as you would think under statute. So we've completed our 60-day nomination period. I believe we have 6 nominees for the vacated term. And then Tammy will go forward, I think today, with ballot information. Tammy, I'm putting you on the spot. For the commission's benefit, do you have the 6 names of the nominated candidates in their home agency?
I can get it.
All right, and as Tammy does that, I did want to note that as Commissioner Willis mentioned earlier, we did have a retirement recently. Chief Policy Analyst Robert Berry has left and retired. We wish Robert good luck in his future endeavors. And then we do have a meeting next week on May 10th of the ad hoc Fallbrook Rainbow group. And that will be a pretty substantive meeting because we're going to talk about and hear from our outside consultant on his take on water supply reliability and the difference, if any, between the County Water Authority versus essentially the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. And so you may want to tune into our YouTube page to watch that, because I'm guessing there will be some differences of opinion among some of the attendees. So that's all I have. And Tammy, if you don't have that list handy, perhaps we can come back or we could send out an email, unless you have it handy.
Dean, I have a
I
quick.
need to
question.
send out an email. I'll send
Okay.
an email out.
We'll send out an email, and Commissioner McKenzie had a question.
Yes, on the process for nominations, do we require the resolution and their statement to be mailed? Or can it be emailed?
Tammy, do we accept email nomination and ballot information? I think we do.
Currently, we accept emails, but I have them to still mail it in, certified to have for the record.
Does
How
that,
do you certify it?
The district will mail in the original copy to me and their resume.
Okay,
that-
in
that
this,
what
in
you're-
this, in this age of electronics, why are we trying to mail these in rather than email?
well, let me,
Electronic signatures are accepted.
yeah,
you
let
know,
me
for
jump in
documents.
there, Commissioner McKenzie. Tammy is bound to follow the procedures of the legislature's process for this. And so, as you probably know from your ledge committee, they still have phrases like, delivered by first-class mail and things of this nature. So it's just somewhat of a relic of yesteryear, but it's still something we're bound to.
Well, maybe Tammy could go through that section of CKH, and that would be something to bring to Cal LAFCO to put in the omnibus bill.
Will do. So that's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Not me.
Hey, Keen, what time is that meeting on the 10th?
Tammy, I'm going to put you on the spot a second time in less than an hour. What time is the meeting for the ad hoc committee next Monday?
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Thank you.
Are you gonna send us a Zoom link?
Can you send the Zoom link?
For anyone who likes to attend, I can.
Yes.
Could you send that out to the entire commission here, including myself? I guess I want to make sure we all get that link and the time and I guess for that meeting. That'd be great.
We will
Sure
do
thing.
that.
And
Okay.
if you have an agenda, that would be nice to include.
All right. So thank you. Anything else from you, Keen?
Oh, no,
Okay.
that's all.
All right, item 9, commission announcements, request for future items. Keen, I think you have something for us, is that right? I'm sorry, Barry.
Barry does.
I do. Chair Vanderlin, as you know, I've sent an email that we address an issue of inequity of funding. When we all voted for the county San Diego Fire Protection District, it was a no-brainer. I think it just in so many ways it made a lot of sense. But I don't think we were aware of the funding different disparity between the county of San Diego and districts such as Valley Center and Deer Springs. So I do want this to be put on an agenda. I'd like to direct the LAFCO, well, Keen, I'd like to ask you to have the LAFCO staff direct them to do the research on this, because there's been a sort of baseline funding set for the county San Diego Fire Authority at 6% of 1%. The problem is that Valley Center and Deer Springs are set at around 2%. That to me is a disparity in funding. So I would like to have us have a serious discussion about this and reconsider. Another way to think about this, let's suppose that Valley Center wouldn't be able to continue financially for some reason, and then the county of San Diego Fire District had to come in and take it over. What level of funding would they more than likely get? 6%. So I would like us to address this matter seriously on the next agenda. And I'd like the staff to do further research on this for that topic.
Thank you, Barry. Just a little background there. There's this whole property tax exchange, the current levels was a result of Proposition 13 when it finished up. That was one of the items that was left there, and there was a lot of discussion amongst the independent districts about who should get what and why. And it's been a long time since I've looked at that information, but I think there even is some disparity. Not everyone is getting the exact percentage. So there was some rhyme and reason about it in the beginning. So I think a review, a look at it to see where it is important. Whether it causes any difference to be made, that remains to be seen. But I, from my perspective at least, I think that the districts who are getting 6% or more would probably have a little concern about a reduction in their amount. So I agree that taking a look at it, especially for our current commissioners, because a lot of you didn't go through that whole process and aren't really up to speed on how, unless you are special districts, how we're funded. So my thought would be that we move ahead with it. Keen, what do you think?
Certainly staff could come back in June with, I would phrase it as like an informational report, just reciting the baseline information without perhaps too much analysis, given it's a short turnaround for us. But then that would also give the commission the benefit of having a discussion in June of just what is the baseline information. And then if you choose to want us to go further into a discussion, we can. I do know that in having only been here 3.5 years, I know that this is a sensitive topic amongst the county and the independent fire protection districts, and it engenders other items. So perhaps we come back just with an informational item for discussion at the next meeting, but then we also perhaps reach out to County Fire and then Valley Center, I guess, and Deer Springs were the two entities that Commissioner Willis mentioned. And we could do that, but to manage expectations, I wouldn't anticipate staff, and presumably I would ask our consultant Ed Sprague to do most of the lifting. I don't think we would have enough time to give you anything more than just, okay, here's the tax differences or tax amounts for the fire protection districts. Here's the process. And we probably would just leave it at that. And if you wanted us to go further, then it would need to go into future meetings.
I think that will be sufficient to start with. Just a minute, Joe, to take a look at it, because there are agencies out there that may have been unhappy all along. Keeping in mind, potentially we could be kicking over a can of worms, but perhaps it's time to do that. Joe?
Well, I find this topic very interesting because I don't know much about it other than all of these numbers and percentages were approved and passed by the Board of Supervisors. And I'm wondering, is this our purview? Once we find out that there's somebody only getting 2% and everybody else getting 6%, what is LAFCO's position? This sounds like something that the Board of Supervisors and the districts, the Fire Chiefs Association or group should be delving into. I need the connection. I need the connection as to what LAFCO's position is, on this topic. Like I said, I find it very interesting, but I just don't want to try and do something that's not within our purview and under CKH.
Well, in terms of the actual funding, the County Board of Supervisors would decide that, in my understanding. It would just be that LAFCO is taking a strong stance on it, that there's some inequities here. And that, is there anything more important than fire protection? Wildfires is the biggest hazard that we face.
So
countywide.
Where's the Fire Chiefs Association on this? They're the ones I think that should be working with the Board of Supervisors to find out. Well, they know what the inequities are, because I've heard this for years, for 20 years, ever since Prop 13 was passed.
I'm sure that Supervisor Disman will be hearing from them soon if he hasn't already.
Mr. Chair, is it possible to really bring this as an informational item? Because I think we're having a discussion right now over an item that's not on the agenda.
Yes, you're right. Thank you very much. I see this as just an informational item. It's come, well, certainly the County Fire Authority came before us. And maybe we didn't look at or feel it was even our purview to look into the actual percentage allotment. So I see that we're not taking any stand on this at all. It's come to us by a commissioner. So let's just take a look at his information and decide from there what we do with it. We're doing a service at this point, I would think. What's your thought, Keen?
So as Commissioner Vargas noted, we're kind of in unique ground here. So as staff, I'm looking to see at least if there's a majority of head nods to go forward with this without a formal vote. And I guess in what I'm proposing is I bring back with the help of Ed, an informational item for discussion that outlines, okay, here's the tax exchanges amongst fire protection districts. Here's the process. Leave it at that, and then let you talk away and give us more direction as you see fit in June. So unless there's objection to that, that's what I will do. And I'm looking at, I don't see anyone nodding no. I see Commissioner Desmond perhaps about to say something, but other than that.
Well, I'll respect, what Supervisor Vargas said. This is not a discussion item at this point in time. I don't mind this coming back as an information item only, but I'm not really sure myself that this is in LAFCO's lane. So I want to, make sure it's information only. And we don't really, we won't be taking a position on an information item only, but there's a lot of nuances and a lot of background to these things. And it's not just cut and dried of you're getting more than I am. So I just want to make sure we have that information come forward, and that's fine. So I'm okay with it coming forward.
That's a great point, and I think we just look at it once again as we'll bring the information back, decide what to do at that point. Anything else, King, you think, to go with this? No? Okay, there's nothing else then on the regular agenda. We'll adjourn to a closed
Thank
session.
you.
Chairman Vanderlin, I do have a couple comments under.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Under my Cal LAFCO hat. I attended two meetings. One was actually the awards committee that met, and quickly we took the 11 awards that we had before and boiled them down to 8, and they're all for outstanding. You got the volunteer, associate member, commissioner, LAFCO professional, Lifetime Achievement Award. You have to have 20 years of service, and Legislator of the Year. And anyone can make the nomination. We approved the criteria for nomination, and then all criteria for the judges to go by. This was then adopted by the Cal LAFCO board, which met 2 weeks later, last Friday. We went over the budget for the coming year. There's a 2-year budget that was approved. And probably the one legislative item that everybody is interested in is AB 339. And that was the one that required the translation services. Special districts are now written out of that bill, and it just applies to cities and counties, and cities actually with 250,000 or more. As I understand it and was reported, the author accepted the amendments that were proposed. The amendments will be in print sometime this week, but he's not a happy camper, and he said this is just a start. So he got his foot in the door, and something will be coming forth next year relevant to this topic. So everybody needs to be as transparent as possible. Transparency now seems to be the buzzword for legislators. And like I said, there's several bills out there that are legislating legislation other than what needs to be done one thing of interest, and it really doesn't affect Cal LAFCO, but the Duluth CSD, and you all know where that is. That's north of Fallbrook, just before you get to the county line. They only do roads. And for years, I've been talking with them about their financing, that they do roads, but they don't get any gas tax. And we have another CSDA in the county, Morrow Hills, and they don't get any gas tax. So there's a bill going forth now that would allocate or allow them to get the gas tax the same as cities and counties. But there's, I guess, a lot, I haven't read the legislation, but I guess there's a lot of questions. So everybody's kind of neutral on that topic. But it seems if we're talking about equity, that would be a topic of equity. So that's the report on the 2 meetings that I attended.
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Did you say Morrow Hills, Joe? Did you say Morrow Hills?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, on the issue of the awards for Cal LAFCO, could you get something to staff to be distributed with time and what the awards are so we can have it in front of us?
I can email him that. We're meeting in about, Worth Committee's meeting in about 2 weeks and to go over the timeline. We don't have a timeline yet as to when that period starts and when it ends. But I can email the topics and the criteria.
Okay, great. All right, Barry, you had a comment?
You want me to email that to you also, Andy?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Barry, you had a comment?
Oh, no, I don't. Well, yes, I am so glad we have Joe McKenzie on our board because she keeps us informed on all this legislative stuff. So it's really great to have you, Joe.
Thank you, Barry.
Anything else before we go to closed session? Okay, we need a motion for that, correct?
I think we're good without a motion, correct, Holly?
Yeah, we don't need a motion to do that.
Okay, great. Well, we're now in closed session. So Keen?
Nope.
Hold on. So Holly's going to introduce the item, and then after Holly introduces the item, you will remove everyone that's not a commissioner, but keep me this time. There was some hard feelings last time you did that to me. Holly.
That's funny. That's very funny.
Message too.
Sure. We're now going to go into closed session to have a conference with the real property negotiators. This is done pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.8. We have 2 items, both going into property negotiations. One is for property at 2550 Fifth Avenue, Suite 725. The second property is at 555 West Beach Street, Suite 502. All of the detailed information about the property owners and who the negotiators are on the agenda. And with that, we will retire to closed session.
Okay, if you could give me 5 minutes to set that up. Thank you.
Okay, so 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, Keen, we're on a 5-minute break then?